A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Translation: O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? As purport, as spirit is not annihilated even after the annihilation of the material body, so also spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Sri Narad developed this spiritual consciousness even when he had his material body in the previous kalpa. Consciousness of the material body means spiritual consciousness expressed through the medium of a material body. This consciousness is inferior, destructible and perverted, but superconsciousness of the supramind in the spiritual plane is as good as the spirit soul and is never annihilated. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasani Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. prāk-kalpa-viṣayām etāṁ smṛtiṁ te muni-sattama na hyesha vyavadhāt kāla esha sarva-nirākṛtiḥ. Translation: O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. So how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? From Vishnu Purana we understand there are three energies of Vishnu in the total creation. Vishnu Shakti Para, spiritual energy, Kshetragya Tathapara, and the spirit soul, which is also in superior energy. Kshetragya Tathapara, Avidya Karma Samgyanya. Avidya Karma, that is the third energy. Samgyanya, Tritiya Shakti Rishyate, that's the third energy. The third energy is inferior. Tritiya Shakti. The creation of Krishna is all his body. Everything is his body. But there is inferior and superior parts. Narad Muni says in Śrīmad Bhagavatam here in the previous chapter, Idam hi vishvan bhagavan ivetara yada jagat sthana nirodha sambhavaha. This material world, Vishvam, Bhagavan ivetara, is not different from Krishna. It is created, maintained and annihilated by Krishna, although he is aloof from it. So, it says it's not different from Krishna. That's a fact. But just like in my body, there are parts which contain my direct consciousness, some which do not. For example, if I'm pinched here, I can feel it. Consciousness is present. On the nail, it's not. I can cut the nail. Still, it's part of my body. But we can cut the nail and the hair. So in the same way, material and spiritual energies are part of Krishna, but the material energy is separated. It's not directly having Krishna's presence, but still it's part of Krishna. So this understanding is there. But there are two different natures. Bhava Anya. Prastasmatu Bhava Anya. There's another nature. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the first mention of his Vaikuntha and spiritual world. So it's a different presence. The material energy is inferior. Inferior because Krishna's presence is not directly there. It's placed, it's acting through another agent, Durga, material, Mother Nature. It's acting through another nature. So that inferior nature, why is it inferior? Because Krishna is not personally administering it. That's given also in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna speaks about this material creation. But then he says, in this creation, there is an element which is superior to this creation. which is not part of this creation. Aparayam itasthanyam prakritim vidhi me param. This apara prakriti, inferior, there is another element. This is Bhagavad Gita's clear explanation that the soul is not material and not part of this world. It's not a lump of flesh. We are not a lump of flesh. The body is separate. We are not that. We are not material. We are spiritual beings, different. Then he says that this prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhuta. This is the jiva bhuta. Jiva refers to soul. But whenever bhuta comes, this refers to the conditioned souls. Jiva bhuta mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat, who are manipulating the material energy. Because they are conscious, they can take the material energy and mold it into a chair, into a table, into a building. That energy cannot manipulate itself, therefore it is known as inferior, and the jiva is superior. But why is it then that we are under material energy? How come we are superior? How is it? How is it that we are souls? Souls are superior, not part of material nature. Still we are covered by the material nature. How is this possible?
Because Krishna intervenes.
Yeah, correct. Krishna personally, this question was asked. It's asked several times in Bhagavatam. And so the answer comes that, yes, this soul cannot be covered by Maya, cannot be covered by material energy. He's superior. But only by Krishna's plan that it can happen. Otherwise, matter and spirit are totally different. Matter cannot become mixed up in this body, in this material world. It cannot. But in a diseased state, he is forcibly covered by Maya. This is the Maya's task. Prabhupada explains, thankless task of Maya. It's given in Chaitanya Bhagavat, the narration of how of Jagannath, how Durga Devi is lamenting that I have taken up this job to pull you away from Krishna, from you, pull jivas away from you. What a job, what a thankless task. We take joy to bring people to Krishna in preaching. It's great, we feel that it's a great service to Krishna, and we also feel happy. So her service is to take them away, not really take them away in the sense like forcefully against their will, but to incite any desires they have, because desire is what they have, she doesn't put them there. They'll have some desire, so it's her job to incite the desire. You have this desire, act on it now, act on it, okay. Forget Krishna. That is her role. So it's a thankless task. And but it's performed as a service to Krishna, because whoever comes to Krishna, since Krishna is Para-Brahman, we have to be Brahman, spiritual, to approach Krishna. That means whatever desires we have should be gone. And so we have to willfully let them go. And how will that happen? We have to first identify them, then it's identified. Maya makes you act. This is your desire, you have this desire, act on it. Even we don't know what's in the depth of our consciousness. So it's brought out, act on it. Okay, no, I don't want to act on it. I want Krishna. Okay, she cannot touch. She will not get involved. We made a decision. But so long as the desire is there, to act on these desires, which prakriti kriyamani gune karmani sarvasha kriyamanani, the modes impel us, and we agree, then we'll be under Durga Devi, material nature. But we should know actually material nature is inferior. And one who comes to Krishna, then that nature doesn't act, cannot act, does no jurisdiction, has no permission to act on somebody who is spiritually minded. So spirit is superior. Spiritual consciousness is superior. Spiritual knowledge is superior. Material knowledge is described as knowledge about, well, two things are there. One is, you can say, knowledge about matter, but also knowledge born of matter. A person who is in the modes and is writing some knowledge, that it cannot be spiritual. Some people want to describe Krishna in spiritual things, but they're acting on a material platform. On a material platform, not much can be done. Not much can be done. Jiva has to come on a spiritual platform to come to knowledge and understanding and to some kind of sanity. On material platform, it's insane. Insane because we are doing and acting things which are not part of our nature, which has nothing to do with our nature, with us as souls, our some somehow. So on that material platform, what happens? One is associating with the modes of nature. This is why we say matter, material energy, material consciousness. That's the word matter, jada, or bhautik. It means connected to the guna. Guna is acting here, not Krishna, not Paramatma. Material knowledge, guna is acting. Material consciousness, gunas are pushing. Material existence, gunas are prominent. A spiritual, Krishna is there. Krishna's energies. Mahatmanastu mam partha, devim prakritim, ashritaha. Mahatmas, the great souls. Because in that chapter 9, Krishna before explains about those who are moga, shamoga, those who don't surrender. Then he says, but the Mahatmas are different. Who are Mahatmas? Devotees. The great souls, Mahatmanastu Partha, devim prakritim ashrita. They are under the superior energy, the spiritual energy. Devim prakritim. In a spiritual consciousness, spiritual energies are prominent. That means Krishna is present. Spiritual knowledge, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Krishna's presence is there. It's a different energy acting. Spiritual knowledge, spiritual existence, spiritual consciousness, we mentioned. Spiritual consciousness means linked to Krishna. Prabhupada uses a word in the purport. Supra mind. Supra means beyond, higher, superior, of a higher nature. Like we'll say, mundane, then supra-mundane. Mundane means material. But supra-mundane means something we're talking about which is beyond matter, beyond matter. No one can understand that. It's in the Vedas. As scientists, they cannot conceive that because they're in this platform. They're in the material consciousness, in material platform. But if you want to understand about the supra platform, you have to have a supra mind. Our mind now is under Maya. It's being controlled by mind. Actually, mind has to be controlled by something. The jiva has to get dictation from somewhere. He cannot act independently. By nature, we have to get dictation. Now, our dictation is coming from Maya because we desired in a past life. And according to our desires, we have been put under certain modes by which we are being impelled to act. So the mind has to accept dictation. But if we decide not to accept the mind and senses, jitātma, if we conquer the mind, actually you cannot do that unless you're under Krishna, having superior intervention of Krishna. But jitātma prashantas, then we become peaceful. This is the first thing. First thing is when you control your senses, is you become very happy. That happy is not happy that you contacted Krishna, but the mode stopped acting. When mode stopped acting, all the different desires inside, they're not acting. That itself gives happiness. Why do we become morose, depressed, overthinking, stressed? Because there's so many desires which manifest which we cannot fulfill. Desires increase. That's very distressing. We are thinking, I'll be happy by fulfilling. I cannot fulfill these desires. So many desires are there. But one becomes peaceful when the desires are not there. Rather, they're there, but we are experiencing a higher pleasure, so we are not trying to act on them. Being experiencing a higher plane, paramdrishta, then we are thinking, there's no need for me to satisfy these desires. So then a level of happiness comes. This happiness is different from the devotional happiness, that rasa, bhakti rasa. But anyway, absence of the material desires gives that happiness. And when the jiva gets liberated and leaves this material world, then he passes through Brahman. Brahma Jyoti. So that explain everything Brahma Jyoti is blue, it's bluish tint, and then the jiva is going, and the presiding deity is Mohini Murti. And then the jiva is encouraged that why are you going to Goloka? Stay here, it's so nice, and it's very nice. There's no guna. And pure jiva, devotee of Krishna, will move on. In this way, of course, not only from the planets, as he passes, they tell, stay here, why are you going? Stay here. And only if someone's really actually in bhakti rasa, they'll go on. So the happiness is there. There are forms of happiness, but it's not that same level. Still, it's a level of happiness. So when one overcomes these the desire, they become happy. That is a result of initial stage of bhakti. Even initial stage, the guna doesn't touch. We are in guna, but we are able to, for example, one chants nicely and reads, then we can come to a level of spiritual satisfaction, happiness, and intelligence, where we can experience some bliss. Even someone new, some beginning, not advanced. So even in beginning level, that have prashantasya. So, but the jiva has to accept dictation. At the moment, we are accepting dictation from the mind. So then the devotee understands, oh, mind is now agent of Maya, so don't accept it. So when one conquers the mind and senses, Chidata Prashanta, Paramatma, Samahita, at that point, because we are not accepting dictation from the Durga, from the Maya, Devi, so then we accept dictation from the Paramatma. Automatically Paramatma comes. What does this mean? It means the Paramatma directly, this is called supra-mind. The mind is connected to Krishna. Then our mind is non-different from Krishna. That means that us serving and acting is directly Krishna's inspiration. Directly Krishna inspired and we act. But now directly Maya is inspiring, we act. So better don't act from the mind. But that level, supra-mind, it says here, super-consciousness of the supra-mind is as good as spirit, it's not destroyed. One who has a spiritual consciousness, and here in the purport is explaining that consciousness which is coming through the body is inferior. Why? Because it's not fully manifest. It's not completely manifest. We have different colored lights, bulbs. So the original light is now, of course, this LED stuff, I don't know how it works. But you had this tungsten element before. Inside was what? No, the gas was. Huh? There was some inert gas, R something. So now the light was produced. That is the original light. Then they put a colored glass. Although the fully manifest light is produced, it will not all come out because a colored glass was put. That's the nature of the bulb. So we have our original consciousness, but it will not be manifest in the material bodies. Depending on the material body, certain part of the consciousness will be manifested. Certain part. If you get a dog body, a lot is blocked. And a plant body is almost completely blocked, so much that you cannot even understand there's a jiva in the plant. We can't understand it. Completely blocked. But even within human species, humans, some consciousness is more, some are just on sensual plane, satisfy the material body, or satisfy the mind, little higher than that, or some intellectual pleasure. It's okay, it's higher, but still, it's not spiritual. The spiritual level is when the spiritual nature is fully manifest. That full consciousness. Now, we know actually that if the consciousness is manifest through the material body, that's temporary. And whatever we experience and do, it will be finished. It's going to be finished at time of death. Because matter is temporary. Matter cannot last. Matter is asat. This is the nature of matter. But consciousness, which is linked to the Supreme, that will stay. That spiritual substance, knowledge, realization, that stays. Even though it's a very long time back, but it will stay. It does not destroy. Spirit is not destroyed because it's part of Krishna's. Krishna is administering that. Krishna akshara. This Raju, the Raju, Pratyakshavam dharmyam susampatam avyayam. Avyaya means not deteriorating. It stays as it is. Avyaya, imperishable. Actually, no, there's akshar and avyaya. Avyayam, what does it mean in this context? Well, anyway, the purport is that it doesn't destroy, it remains imperishable. No, it's indestructible. So, this imperishable knowledge will stay and the consciousness will stay. So, Narad, that knowledge, whatever knowledge he got, Narad Muni, in the past, that was a previous kalpa. Now look at the Srimad Bhagavatam is speaking about previous kalpa. How long is a kalpa?
72.
No, that is one manvantara. But in one day of Brahma, in one kalpa, there are 14 manus, 14 times 72 divya yugas. So how long is a kalpa? Kalpa is a day of Brahma. How long is a day of Brahma?
72.
No.
72 manvantara.
No, it's not.
14 manvantaras, one.
Okay, how long is it? No, that's the lifetime of Brahma. A lifetime Brahma is that. So a kalpa is a day of Brahma. A day of Brahma is 1,000 yuga cycles. That makes one day. And another 1,000, one night. So in that you can say 2,000. 2,000 is the duration, the cycle. So that is 8.64 billion years. But we can say 4.32 billion is the duration of the day of Brahma. So this happened 8.64 billion years back. That this is the history of the Bhagavatam. As Prabhupada says, this is Vedic culture. This is Vedic knowledge. This is Vedic knowledge. History of billions of years. Figure that out. I read somewhere in Wikipedia. How old are the Vedas? Vedas are very old. They are said to be compiled 8,000 years ago. You have no idea. So, previous day of Brahma, that is you can say in short, kalpa. Kalpa. And divya yug is 4 yugas together. So, kalpa is 1,000 divya yugas. Anyway, or 2,000 totally. So, now this knowledge of Narad Muni is narrating something of previous day of Brahma. Because in this whole day of Brahma, he is present in all different pastimes, leelas, and he's present there. In the previous one, he was not in this form. Now Vyasa is thinking, how is this? You are narrating something from the previous. Now everything is annihilated in due course, says he. Prāk-kalpa-viṣayām etāṁ smṛtiṁ muni-sattama vyavadhāt sarva-nirākṛtiḥ. Nirākṛtiḥ, annihilation. Sarva-nirākṛtiḥ, everything is destroyed at the end of kalpa. So how is it that now that was your previous consciousness and everything, now you're narrating like you remember it? So that is a question he asked. So of course we know Vyasa is all knowing, but he's asking for our purpose. That is the nature of spiritual consciousness, spiritual knowledge. One is on a spiritual plane, and on a spiritual path, it is sat. And if we are following something which is coming in Shrotya Parampara, properly in Sampradaya, then it will stay, it will go on. Otherwise it will not stay. Upper Sampradayas, Ritvikism, etc. cannot last. And anything which is not connected to Krishna, any sort of deviation cannot last. It is asat, it's not coming under Krishna's energy. If we decide that we want to come under Krishna's energy, then we will go on. We will gradually attain a consciousness and knowledge which will last. So spiritual knowledge is such that by accumulating it, one destroys the material consciousness. Because matter cannot that we say that Surya, Krishna Surya Sama. Krishna is like the sun. When the sun shines, there cannot be a shadow. We understand shadow comes where the sun is not reaching, like here, cave. No sun can come. So everything's dark unless we put on the light. So Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai andhakara. Jaha Krishna taha nahi Maya adhikar. So similarly, the knowledge of Krishna, which is proper knowledge, that means knowledge coming in parampara, Krishna's knowledge. When we attain that, where will we keep that knowledge? In our mind. Mind is depository of all our ideas. Even all the material desires we have, the depository, or actually Prabhupada used the word repository, where it's contained. All our material desires are contained in the mind. And at some point, we act on it. Some idea comes, we act on it. Where did the idea come? Came from deep in the mind. If you have an ocean looks calm, still, but at the bottom there can be heavy currents. We did diving, deep sea, scuba diving, and we are taught about this point. Don't be fooled. Their undercurrents are so powerful that actually even on the map of the planet, this planet, they'll explain that they give names. There's a Bengula current in some part of the world where current under, not on top of the sea, it's flowing very fast like a river, it's flowing. And so like this, people lose their lives. Say like in Ganga, everything looks calm, you go, you step in, and then the undercurrent takes you. Even if you're a good swimmer, you can't. So the current is very strong. How did I come to this point? What did I say? Mind. Mind, okay. So now, the ocean looks very still and peaceful, but the undercurrents are there. And what's going on underneath? There could be fight between a shark or something, and sometime one bubble comes up. Boop. Then you understand something is happening. So mind, deep in the mind, there all sorts of things are there. And any time they'll come out. These are vasanas. Well, it's born of samskar. Samskar happen. And then vasana is the deep longing, because of the experience of the samskar, it creates a vasana that again I want to do that. It means in the past we did some material activities. So these are deep in the mind, reside. When one acquires spiritual knowledge, the spiritual knowledge destroys that. Wherever it sits, automatically destroys. Supposing I'm hearing about Krishna, I'm hearing about any topics of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, I'm going to store that in the mind, repository. So in the same way that, for example, if you have some collection of fuel or some wood and you put a fire, it will burn everything in there. So the spiritual knowledge, as you acquire more spiritual knowledge, these things are destroyed. Kramaneleva praliyate. Gradually, the desires, even deep, all these vasanas, they disappear gradually. Why? Because I'm learning more about Krishna. I'm hearing. So therefore, it's so powerful to hear. It's so important. It's the root. It's the root of. We start bhakti because we heard about Krishna and bhakti, and you go on. We maintain it also like that. It's so important. By getting the knowledge and it sits and we increase the knowledge, gradually we destroy all these other things. They cannot coexist. And where calm is, then Krishna will go away very far. And where Krishna consciousness is cultivated, then all these things disappear. They're compared to senses without teeth, without the poison. Yeah. The senses are compared to snakes because they cannot trust them and they're lethal. They can do anything if you let them loose. But one who starts practicing bhakti, then the snakes, it's like snakes without poison. They're not a danger. They look like something, It's not a danger. So accumulation of spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge is different from material knowledge. The more we cultivate material knowledge, this is not a good thing. Prabhupada explains in Renunciation Through Wisdom that increase of material knowledge expands the net of Maya. When we are learning more and more material things, then we become more in illusion. And Prabhupada explains one reason why. He said, because you think you know a lot, but you don't know. Especially someone coming up in academic knowledge. You think, I know so much, I know, oh, he's a degree person, but he doesn't know anything, Prabhupada said. Actually, they don't know. You think, and this is the illusion. This is one kind of illusion. That the more you study this degree, this, that. And that's it. This is a big problem. Now come to bhakti from there. It's very difficult. Compared to one who did not even enter all these things. It's easier. So spiritual knowledge and material, we're talking matter, spirit. So material knowledge covers more and more. Spiritual knowledge liberates. As it accumulates, another feature, if you try this, read Gita again, get more and more knowledge, what happens? Gradually become happy. Why? Because all the topics are in our mind, like, and more in a day, like in the morning we revise a verse, or we hear Bhagavatam, and these thoughts are in the mind, it generally makes us happy, because our mind now contains Krishna. But now if you start reading or hearing some other material thing, or discussing, that will remain, because that morning is so important, that morning hours. And we're hearing vibration of holy name and Bhagavatam, then that vibrates whole day in our mind, and that makes us on the spiritual platform. Not pure spirit liberated, but the now contents of our mind are spiritual, and then anything we do, it's Krishna inspires. Krishna is inspiring, everything works out. Whatever, we go distribution, we are cooking, whatever we do works. So for that, one has to be absorbing the spiritual vibration, then it's different, it lasts. So Vyasa indirectly is asking Narad Muni that what you're narrating is from previous kalpa. So everything is destroyed and at the end of Brahma's day. Now how is it that you are narrating this like something that happened yesterday? I can narrate yesterday's event, but how is this there? But the answer is because Narad Muni had attained a spiritual consciousness that is never destroyed. It will stay. Avyayam, it's mentioned. It will stay. The material knowledge will be annihilated because it's a part of this subtle body which is destroyed. Not subtle body. It's when we are known as kshara. Kshara means changing the body. When we change the body, everything is destroyed. All the knowledge, everything goes. But spiritual is different. When we have a spiritual body or spiritual mind, everything stays. So Bhagavad Gita explains about this. In Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is about to explain about Sankhya Yoga, he explains what is the nature of this knowledge I am giving. Neha bhikrama nash asti, that neha abhikrama nash asti pratyavayana vidyate, that knowledge, spiritual consciousness can never be destroyed. It's not destroyed because it's linked to Krishna. Anything linked to Krishna is sat, eternal. Prabhupada explains also, for example, what is the greatest fame? Actually, he's quoting 11th canto, Uddhav Gita. The greatest fame is one who is proficient in bhakti, advanced devotee. The fame of a devotee never goes. Now I can say a name of a previous Prime Minister of UK or India. You may not know it. We'll forget some ruler, but we are remembering Narad Muni, we are remembering great devotees, Ambarish Maharaj. From this Divya Yuga, previous Divya Yuga, previous Kalpas, we are remembering devotees, names. So actually the greatest fame is one who is a devotee. And anything like this, greatest fame, anything great, means Krishna should be connected. Yata Yogeshwara Krishna, Tata Partha Dhanudara, Tata Shri, Vijaya, Bhuti, Dhruva, Mati, Nitirmama. Opulence, victory, strength, everything will be there. If we see that it's not there, then it's something temporary. Pandavas, oh look at them, they're not so great, they're devotees, it was a temporary situation. But previously India also was so great because of the devotion. Militarily powerful, economically, there's no other place where the ocean is named after a country. Now China wants to change that, but it's there. Everyone knows Indian Ocean. And they're finding traces. Of course, everything's hidden now in history. They don't want to. But now they're finding traces of Indian trade in Russia, traces all over the world. So actual greatness, even materially, is when Krishna is present. Wealth even. Someone gets wealth. It's lost in 1 or 2 generations. You get one, son of a rich man, or maybe he didn't have a son, he gives it to someone, he squanders it. Or the son is not as responsible as the father, he loses. But if it's based on spiritual principles, Vishnu is worshipped in that family, then Lakshmi stays. Generations, one after the other, that money is kept, if it's on a dharmic level. So this is the difference. So now when Vyasa is asking Narada, how is it you kept that knowledge? Then here it's going to be explained. Prabhupada explains that as spirit is not annihilated, even after the body, so spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. When Pralaya came, Narada Muni did not get destroyed. He didn't enter Vishnu's body. He simply took another spiritual form. And the spiritual form is inside all of us. It manifests by bhakti. Only when it's fully manifest can we give up the subtle body. By practicing bhakti, it gradually manifests more and more. For one who fully manifested his spiritual form, he will not take birth again. He can enter Goloka. So that happened with Narada Muni. You would have heard this before. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained why is it that we, very insightful. This I read in Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav. If Krishna appears here immediately, we will not see. We won't see. We can't see spirit. We cannot perceive spirit. So the question was asked that if someone practices bhakti, becomes fully spiritualized, why can we see him? How is it we're able to see him? We should not be able to see him. If you read the narration of Ajamil, when he attained perfection, his spiritual form entered the ship, Viman, and the other body dropped down. But actually when we practice bhakti, this body is spiritualized. So how is it that we still see it? Okay, the answer was given. Bhaktivinoda Thakur replied, 2 reasons. One is, so devotees can preach. I become spiritualized, then I disappear. How am I going to teach Gita and tell others, elevate them? We'll not see Prabhupada. So Krishna arranged that, okay, we become spiritualized, not under material energy, but we retain our vision. That is one. So we can preach. Second is not to bewilder atheists. Atheists came here to escape Krishna and spirituality. Now you think people are disappearing. What's going on? Oh, maybe then. But their desire is not to worship God and not to perceive spirituality. So in order for them to preserve that everything is matter, we are all matter, so that was kept. Even Krishna left the material body when he left for this purpose. And in this way, that Ajamil had a spiritual body, but externally when he went out, he dropped the body and that spiritual form got on. But we hear the Mahabharata that Pandavas went in their same body, they went to Goloka like that. That was something extraordinary. Not Mahabharata. In Bhagavatam, Mahabharata says something different because that's different. It's for a different audience. So in this way, big difference here, that annihilation of material body happens, but spiritual consciousness is not annihilated. Sri Narad developed this spiritual consciousness. Therefore, he didn't drop the body, he didn't forget. Because he was spiritualized, he simply just stayed on and continued. And he went to Vaikuntha everywhere, he can go. Consciousness of material body means spiritual consciousness, but pervertedly exhibited through I mentioned about the bulb. But the pure consciousness manifests in a pure spiritual body, it's fully manifest. And he can do anything. Narada Muni can just travel, can go, he'll know things, he can know past, present, future by empowerment of Krishna. He will have all kinds of powers. Past, present, future, 3 kāla. Shastra is 3 kāla. Pure devotee is 3 kāla. can see the future. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one comment he said, Agun jvalabe, fire will burn. This referring to Gaudiya Math. Is that correct, Bengali? Jvalibe. Agan. Jvalibe. He said, fire will burn. It will burn. Means he set up the institution. He could see this will happen. Prabhupada could also see. Whatever. And I heard, Mukunda Datta was explaining. He said in Bhakti, we have to endeavor fully. We shouldn't be thinking, oh, it's a material world, what will happen? Why are we doing this? He gave example of Rupa Goswami. He said, Rupa Goswami, he's from Goloka. He would have known the future. Still, he engaged people to build Radha Govinda temple in Vrindavan to make it so grand. He would have seen that it would be dismantled by asuras, the future, who invaders destroyed it. But he took effort and did it. So devotees are three kāla. Devotees have all this power. In other words, the pure spirit soul has great potency. For this purpose, Prabhupada was saying, I want one Arjuna. That's all. One moon. Ekas chandas tamohanti. Nachatara sahasrash. He understood. If I make one pure devotee, whole world will be delivered. It's possible. And then he said, not so many rascal stars. Even stars are rascal. I want one moon, not rascal stars. So, us personally, we should understand. If we want to achieve anything, if we want to do, we have to come on a spiritual platform. Otherwise, what can we do? What can we do with so much guna? And Prabhupada ordered us to become pure devotees. He left the books. We have to properly chant, properly read, come on a spiritual platform. Then things will work. Otherwise, it will be difficult because infused with guna, then it's under different energy. But if we're inspired by Krishna, and we will not be inspired till we chant properly, read and hear properly, then we'll be inspired by Krishna directly. And then things will, yati na asti atra sangshayaha. There will be no doubts. Now we have doubts, so many doubts. These are born of guna. But more we become purified, maya saktamana partha, yoga nirjan malashaya, asamshayam, asangshaya, without doubt, we can know Krishna. So doubts eliminate. How? Deep absorption in bhakti, proper chanting, reading. Then we can do things. Because actually we are not doing it, it's Krishna. We are instruments. But he cannot use us as instruments if we are not coming on this platform to be used as an instrument properly. Consciousness. And that consciousness is put in this morning program, which is so important. Proper absorption. Hare Krishna. Any question?
Previously we see in transcendental, like devotees, they even engage in comparing things, so materialistic knowledge.
Yeah.
But devotee should be his focus should be on delivering spiritual. For example, I studied Parashar, he wrote astrology. So, what's the purpose of it?
No, the totality of Vedas is Shabda Brahman, Vedic knowledge. Previously, now we are not studying, but before in Gurukul we'll study a lot of other aspects of knowledge. Actually, a Brahmin is supposed to know everything. Even Ayurveda, he should be able to tell basically. He's supposed to know even the Pachang. He should be knowing little knowledge. As Prabhupada said, we should know little of everything and a lot of something. That was on a different level. To function in this world, they had that. They were, but and another thing, we shouldn't take examples of these personalities. They are not normal. They are not, Narad Muni, in Mahabharata it says different knowledge was manifested towards the end of Kali Yuga, which was meant for the Kali jivas. But and it came from munis and sages. It came through them. But don't say that as munis and these munis. They wrote, Vyasadeva wrote all the Vedas. He wrote material knowledge also. That's different. But another thing is, to exist in this world, we need this knowledge, isn't it? Panchang, we need Panchang knowledge. One is Ekadashi. And what else? Parashara Muni, but that is astrological. Parashara, isn't it? So when is Ekadashi? When is Janmashtami? We need to know. Even Ayurveda, to some extent, you have to know these things so that we can practice bhakti. Yeah.
These were like all were for intention for. Like,
Yes, but if it's not used for that, then it becomes Maya. Then it's a different thing. But what is devotees will take and use everything in Krishna's service. We'll use it. We require all this. Prabhupada said we require car, house. He was speaking in Conway Hall in London in Science of Self-Realization to businessmen. Then he said we require, let's like a business requires land, labor, capital, organization. We study this, civics, economics. So he said, so we do also, we have in this material world, this society needs land, labor, people, manpower, capital, funds, organization, someone to manage. So you can help in that way. These things are needed. We'll use all this in Krishna's service. Astrology, whatever it is. Construction. People need this. Even to construct a temple, you need. But it was all originally meant for this purpose. One point of observation, one Tamil devotee told me. He said, in South India, you'll never find grand houses and castles like in Europe. Everyone built third-class houses for themselves, but the temples are standing. They spent all their intelligence, resources, everything to build the temples. They lived in mud huts. Even if you should take a great personality like rich Vaishyas, they'll not build standing structures. So before that was understood, all that was meant for glorification and use of Krishna consciousness. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.